What is FHIR's 80-20 rule?
Okay, so I think before we talk about FHIR's 80-20 rule, let's talk about what the 80-20 rule is. So this is it was discovered by Pareto, and it's also called the Pareto Principle. So basically, he saw beans in his garden. Okay, so these are beans, and then he saw that actually there are only 20% of beans in his garden that gave 80% of the output. Okay, so these are those 20% of the beans, and of course there are like lots of other beans here in the garden, but they all like they are dunce, right? Like they don't really provide that much output, and this rule kept coming up again and again. Like so, this is like the 20% results in 80% of the actual beans, right? And this 80%, again, like I need to draw a lot more beans here, but this 80% will contribute to the remaining 20%. So this is basically called the Pareto Principle. Now in FHIR, what they do is that, of course, like there's a lot of data to model in a hospital, right? Like they'll model so many different things that you can talk about. But they basically decided that, okay, let's say that we have a hospital, and we like have, okay, that's a hospital, by the way, I don't know how to, okay, it's a plus. So let's say there are hospitals and all of their requirements are, like all of them are asking for something, right? So 80% of them will probably ask for a few requirements. They'll be like, okay, I need to capture my labs, I need to capture medication, I need to capture all of these very vital things. So 80% of the use cases of the hospitals are met by around 20% of the actual resources and the data points. And now what FHIR says is that, of course, there is going to be this remaining 80%. Now, of course, this is like the 20%, there is going to be so many different data points that are needed by these other hospitals. For example, you could have an ophthalmology practice that specifically asks for refractive index, or you can have another physiotherapy practice that asks specifically for like, okay, I need to capture when my patient is able to stand up, right? All of that will go in here, and basically FHIR stance on this is that, okay, this needs to be captured in extensions, right? So they're saying like this 20% of data points that is modeled in FHIR core will capture 80% of everybody's needs, right? Like there are so many other hospitals, but it will capture 80% of these needs. But there are a few hospitals, like there are going to be like 20% of the healthcare industry, which is not covered, and they will come up with 80% of these different requirements. And instead of spending the time and effort in actually modeling them as FHIR International and FHIR Core, what you can do is you can do it as an extension. You can have your own implementation guides. You can have your own profiles to actually build this. That's basically what FHIR 80-20 is all about. Now it's a little controversial whether it's a good decision to do this, and there are other problems if you do it this way versus doing it maximally, which is what like openEHR and other standards do. But this, in essence, is the 80-20 principle.
If you like this and want to learn more about FHIR, we just put out a whole course on FHIR fundamentals, and there is a full module dedicated to just what is FHIR and the basics around it. Just check it out at medblocks.com/L/FHIR fun, and it's completely free. You can just go to the link and check it out.